The official record is silent. No government index lists its name. No budget allocation can be traced. But in the deepest, most secure vaults of the national security apparatus, a file exists. It describes a project that was never meant to begin. And a discovery that can never be undone. This file was never meant to be opened. This is the story of that project. Reconstructed from suppressed logs, classified debriefings, and the fragmented testimony of those who survived. Repeat, containment protocol is compromised. The resonance chamber is unstable. We have a perceptual breach. The geometry is wrong. God, the walls. The walls are folding. This is not a drill. We are not alone in here. The year is 1968. The Cold War is at its peak. Paranoia is a form of currency. The CIA and KGB are locked in a silent war of espionage. But another, stranger war is being fought in the shadows. A war for the mind itself. The Soviets were pursuing psychoenergetics. The CIA countered with remote viewing. But DARPA, the Pentagon's Blue Sky Research Division, had a more terrifying ambition. They didn't just want to see across distances. They wanted to see across realities. Project Astral-CHASM was born. Its goal was audacious. To map the sub-reality that ancient texts called the astral plane. To weaponize it. The operational theory was simple. The human mind, under specific conditions, could act as an antenna. A receiver for dimensions layered over our own. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, at Site Sierra Omega, they built the key. The resonance chamber. It was a sensory deprivation tank, a Faraday cage, and an electromagnetic pulse generator all in one. It was designed to isolate a human consciousness. To detach it from physical reality. Highly trained military psychics, designated travelers, were the pilots. Their mission, to project their consciousness into the void. And report back what they found. At first, the results were extraordinary. The travelers returned with data. They described non-Euclidean spaces. Impossible colors. A symphony of sounds with no physical source. The science team, led by physicist Dr. Aris Thorne, was jubilant. They were creating maps of a new world. We are not observing a hallucination. We are recording the baseline physics of a contiguous reality. This is the greatest discovery in human history. But the maps began to show things that were not just geometry. Traveler 03 was the first to report it. A feeling. The distinct, chilling sensation. Of being watched. His biotelemetry spiked. Heart rate, off the charts. Brain activity, mimicking a grand mal seizure. He was pulled from the chamber, screaming about fractal eyes in the darkness. The project's lead psychologist, Dr. Evelyn Reed, dismissed it as sensory deprivation-induced paranoia. The reports conflict. The subject is experiencing a predictable cognitive schism. The mind abhors a vacuum. It is projecting its own fears onto the data stream. Then the pattern repeated. Traveler 04 described ascension hostility in the static. Traveler 05 refused to go back in, claiming something had followed him out. The project was no longer exploring. It was trespassing. The phenomenon began to bleed through. The staff called it the stain. Technicians reported tools moving on their own. Maintenance crews heard whispers in empty corridors. A shared, waking nightmare took hold of Site Sierra Omega. Dr. Thorne insisted it was interdimensional resonance. He pushed for higher energy outputs in the chamber. He believed they were on the verge of first contact. Dr. Reed argued for a total shutdown. She feared mass psychosis. The testimony changes. It's in the facility. I saw it myself. It is not a hallucination. It is not psychological. It is wrong. The project had crossed a threshold. They were no longer the observers. They had been noticed. And the things on the other side were now looking back. What was once a mapping expedition had become an active invasion. Repeat, containment protocol is compromised. The resonance chamber is unstable. We have a perceptual breach. The geometry is wrong. God, the walls. The walls are folding. It's in the control room. It's not solid, it's an idea. A bad idea. It's rewriting what we see. Don't look at the corners. Don't look, it was called the chasm event. On October 12, 1972, during a maximum power experiment, the resonance chamber did not just open a window. It opened a door. And whatever lay on the other side stepped through. Not physically. But perceptually. Personnel experienced severe temporal and spatial disorientation. Loops of time lasting seconds to hours. Hallways leading back to themselves. Auditory phenomena described as the sound of tearing reality. Reality inside Site Sierra Omega fractured. For 72 hours, the facility was a bubble of pure chaos, governed by alien physics and a malevolent intelligence that warped human perception at its source. Men went mad, not from fear, but from having the very definition of real torn from their minds. The response was not a rescue. It was a sterilization. A specialized unit from the Atomic Energy Commission was sent in. Their mission: contain the perceptual anomaly and erase the project from history. They weren't armed with guns. They were armed with concrete mixers and incinerators. The documents vanish. Project Astral-CHASM was officially terminated. The final report lists a catastrophic structural failure and a chemical fire. The surviving personnel were debriefed, drugged, and reassigned, their memories clouded by manufactured cover stories. The site was buried, a tomb for a secret too terrible to keep. But a question lingers in the classified silence. A question that haunts the darkest corners of the intelligence world. Did they truly close the door? Or did they just lock us in on the same side as the monsters? The bleed-through was never contained. It was only dispersed. Some theorists, deep within the forbidden archives, believe the chasm event subtly altered our own reality. That the rise in unexplained phenomena, the feeling of global anxiety, the sense that things are not quite right, are all echoes. Residual perceptual artifacts from the day humanity knocked on the wrong door. And something answered.